Intense storms flaring up again this afternoon. I'll have the latest on those. We'll look at the potential tropical development over the next week and your weekend forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas for you right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. Great to see you on this Friday afternoon. I hope you are doing well. Coming up in this video, we have our areas of potential tropical development. I'll be highlighting. We'll see how those might be evolving over the next week. We still have areas of very heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning in other parts that are absolutely baking. We'll also look at how tropical waves could aid potential tropical development over the next week. As we get started, you know I love to hear from you. Drop it in the comment section below. Are you living in one of the areas where it's been very wet, or are you baking in some of this June heat? And while you're down there, you know I appreciate your support. Thank you for clicking that like button right now. So let's get started where we are still seeing the showers and storms on this Friday afternoon. We're going to kick it off in our western areas right now. Once again, a lot of Central America, wet and stormy. Showers and storms continue to flare up. We still have our Central American gyre. We've mentioned that the last several videos. This is a broad circulation, and within that we're getting smaller circulation potentials, and one of those in the southwest Gulf of Mexico could potentially become a tropical system here in the next 5 or 6 days. I'll have a lot more on that coming up, but looking at the localized storms right now, you can just see again these twists here, you know, even down to the southwest Caribbean, which is another area that bears watching over the next week or so. But it's raining cats and dogs right now in Panama City and on over towards San Jose there in Costa Rica. This has been an area that has been very wet and stormy, and you know, flooding potential will go along with these storms, but we're just getting wetter here, guys. We've mentioned this the last, again, I feel like it's been almost a broken record the last week, but just highlighting that this area will continue to stay very wet, not only the next few days, but maybe over the next week to 10 days and maybe even beyond that. And you can see through Nicaragua and Honduras, showers and storms developing. Not everyone's going to get the rain in one day, but again, it's the cumulative impacts of helping these areas that have been desperate for showers and storms. One of those areas has been our friends in Belize, and it's good to see more heavy rain and storms flaring up again. Let's get some of those over some of the river basins, over some of the reservoirs, and just, you know, get places like Orange Walk and San Ignacio and Dangriga and Belmopan and Belize City some good rain for today. And you can see that the lightning count is going up. These storms are more intense, so heavy rainfall inland. But friends in Belize, drop it in the comment section below if you caught some of these storms. The Yucatan getting wetter as well. We've had some storms, Cancun, Cozumel, northern side, now towards the Gulf of Mexico side. And again, this flare up with this tropical plume of moisture, it's not going anywhere, guys, over the next, again, week to 10, maybe even 14 days. We're catching a few showers here in Grand Cayman. The most intense storms have been west of the islands for today. Some of that's trying to trickle over towards the other islands there, but generally it's Grand Cayman with at least the opportunity for a few showers there. Now we're still active in the Bahamas for today. No, it's not nearly as intense as what it has been, but we've still got some storms ramping up right now. And on this late Friday afternoon, you can see that flare up of lightning over places like Andros. And we've had passing showers and storms for Grand Bahama and Walker's Key and Abaco and the New Providence area. What do you say we take a look at the radar here right now? Let me throw that on. We'll take off the satellite data. And again, here at Meteo Mundo, I can show you some live radars. You've got your live lightning count as well. So always love to talk about the here and now with the technology that we have. And again, for our friends in the Northwest Bahamas, it's been another wet day, guys. The flood watch is gone, but there's still some heavier rain that'll be falling. Obviously, with the lightning, the boaters need to be be using caution out there. Obviously, avoid these storms. Get in port when they're heading your way. Another round looks to try and be working towards Grand Bahama and Bimini. They're fading a bit for today. Overall, not as intense, but this is a decent cluster of storms over portions of central and northern Andros. It'll try and get over towards New Providence and the Nassau area as well. And you can see additional storms are back out here towards the lower Keys right now, back down towards Key West and then over the Straits and portions of Cuba as well. So overall, still a relatively active pattern. Unfortunately, even places like, Miami, which don't need any more rain anytime soon. Continue to see at least some showers and storms for today. So again, still relatively active in this area. Back over to the satellite imagery here. And again, we're going to follow this up to our area of Invest. Now we still have Invest 90L. There's the latest on it. Winds are actually up to 34 miles an hour, but the Hurricane Center has dropped the chance of development just east of North Carolina here off of the United States East Coast down to just 10%. It's going to merge pretty quickly with a frontal boundary coming off the United States East Coast. So it's going to really kick up some surf and sea conditions along the U.S. East Coast. It's going to bring some rain and wind to Bermuda. But more than likely, this is not going to wrap up in anything tropical. Again, I mentioned it in yesterday's video. That window was really narrow. I think if it was going to happen, it would be right around this time today. And so that window is basically closed right now. But again, still going to bring some fresh winds and some higher surf and sea conditions to the U.S. East Coast. Let's get back out to the broad view. One of the other big stories, of course, is going to be the wind. So the first thing I want to do is let's take a look at some wind gusts across the area. And again, we've had a few breezy conditions through portions of the Bahamas. There's Cuba. We're having, again, some decent wind through portions of Central America. Nothing is very consistent, though, as far as this fresh breeze goes for today. We've had a few higher gusts in portions of Puerto Rico, but overall, the winds have been relatively calm. It's been fairly steady trade winds for today, but nothing of extreme significance. The bigger story, and I mentioned it, is the areas that aren't seeing the rain. It's the heat. It's the feels like temperatures here. It's on the rougher side. A lot of areas right now at or above 100 degrees, even closer to 110. So now let's go island by island. We'll go into our friends in Jamaica here. And again, for today, it's been a drier afternoon. So Montego Bay's feels like number 4 time was near 105. Fortunately, don't have the reporting site out of Kingston, but again, a drier afternoon. Doesn't mean my friends in Jamaica couldn't catch a developing shower later today. It's gonna be relatively spotty. The moisture, you guys are right on the edge of it right now. If I show you the water vapor imagery, notice that the air over the island is a little bit drier at the hour. The richer moisture is off towards your west. We're gonna try and drag in a little bit more moisture from the north here and at least give our friends in Jamaica the opportunity for a few showers over the weekend. It's spotty rain again for Hispaniola on this Friday afternoon. Not even as much as this time yesterday. Turks and Caicos the same way. We're dry in the southeast Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos. So now feels like temperatures are pretty darn hot. Santo Domingo has hit 110 Fahrenheit. That's 43.3 degrees Celsius. Same thing for Puerto Plata. Punta Cana, I mean, go there if you want to cool off. Feels like temperature that actually has dropped back down to around 95. It's rough in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, by the way, as well. They're up to around 107. Here's an isolated storm or two trying to develop. Again, I feel like the southwest sides of Puerto Rico kind of have the luck of the draw right now. A few storms there towards Yauco. We've had maybe a quick passing shower, Aguadilla, Mayaguez. Central and the eastern sides of the island have been relatively dry. Believe it or not, it's a heat advisory for today and not an excessive heat warning. So we've shaved a bit of the heat and the humidity off for today, but it's still pretty rough outside. Our friends in Christiansted, St. Croix, feels like number over 100. It's rough in Vieques and Culebra, St. Thomas, St. John, Roadtown. Again, this is an area where the rain chance over the next few days is going to be very limited. There's a bit of Saharan dust in play as well. Switch on over to the northern side of the Leeward Islands for us here. Let's take a look at our friends in places like St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis. Some areas, again, running above 100. We've had a couple of fast moving showers. If you've caught some of those, let me know. But again, very, very pinpoint rain for today and not much more than that. Same thing for our friends in Montserrat, Guadalupe, Dominica. A passing shower over Martinique as a possibility. But again, you're looking at very limited opportunities. You can see the lightning flare up very quickly. It dumped a little bit of rain and then it was out of there really quick. So nothing too heavy. St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Barbados continues with the ICC cricket tournament there. The United States is actually in the top 8. So I mentioned it last week. I am a cricket fan. Never played, but I do have, there's a channel here that I can watch a little bit of that cricket. So again, hope my friends in Barbados are enjoying that and really exciting time there. And it's hot, it's dry for St. Vincent and the Grenadines down towards Grenada. Look at the showers developing right now over Trinidad, trying to get as far north as Tobago, but you can see Port of Spain has dropped by around 20 degrees with that feels like temperature as the rain has moved in. And this is relatively widespread, and those showers and storms are flaring up on the northeast coast of South America, so Guyana and Suriname, Venezuela, all with an opportunity. Now, there's another tropical wave that will be moving in late weekend, early next week. Again, I've mentioned this many times, these tropical waves are pretty far south in latitude, so it's going to be the southern side of the Windward Islands, mainly Trinidad, Tobago, maybe Grenada with the best chance, and of course South America. Another tropical wave is just emerging off of the coast of Africa. This one will also bear watching, but obviously it's got to traverse the main development region of the Atlantic before anything else happens with that. But again, this time of the year, to have those tropical waves continuing to roll off the West African coast is a bit unusual. Temperatures on the board right now for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, my friends there. It's been hot, it's been dry, it's been breezy. How about 105 or so for a feels like temperature this afternoon? So that's what it looks like right now. Let's get into the models and take a look at what your weekend forecast is going to be. I've got your island by island rain outlook for the weekend as well. Then we're going to get into the extended forecast and get into what might be happening in the southwest Gulf of Mexico as we push into next week. So as I'm loading up the models, thank you so much again for liking this video. If you've been looking for your daily forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you found your home here at Meteo Mundo. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for subscribing right now. Okay, let's get into it. So we'll look at the GFS and the NAM models for us here. And again, just bearing what's going to play out up the United States East Coast. This thing stays elongated. It is going to bring some rain towards Bermuda. Now, the interesting thing is part of this circulation could get caught up and start to spin, but it's in cooler waters, and more than likely no development out of that is going to happen, but could be a little bit of an interesting feature northeast of Bermuda here later next week. Now, for our friends in the Bahamas, again, we need to dry out the northwest Bahamas. We've still got a decent chance for rain today and tomorrow, and then the rain chances do become much more scattered in nature. Maybe not completely dry, but we're going to get rid of some of this more persistent, heavier rainfall for Grand Bahama and Abaco and Walker's Key and Bimini. Areas to the south really haven't had it that bad. I mean, a lot of you have put in the comments section you could use a little bit more rain, and there could be a few spotty showers for places like Cat Island, Long Island, Acklins, back down towards the Turks and the Caicos, but pretty limited. If you catch a shower over the next few days, first of all, more than likely it's going to happen between now and tomorrow afternoon, but then after that, consider yourselves relatively lucky. It's going to get a little bit drier in these areas for us here. As we get back down towards the northwest side of the Caribbean, once again, we're still going to have some ample moisture to at least throw chances for rain for the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. It's not going to be extremely widespread. I do expect with the heat of the day, we're going to pop off more storms. The ample moisture is farther west, but we're close enough in vicinity to get some rain for Kingston, Savannah, Lamar, DeGrill, and the Georgetown areas over the next few days. It's a better chance than areas off towards the east. Now, you get to Hispaniola, and again, over the next couple of afternoons, it is going to be an isolated shower or storm to pop up in the afternoon hours. Nice little cooling storm if you get it. Now, again, as I roll through time here, it's not until early next week, really not until we get into early next week, that we see a little bit better chance for a few showers and storms. There's another tropical wave coming in, a little bit of a moisture axis that could develop here from west to east to bring a few more showers in. But as far as, the rest of today and into the weekend, it's about a 10 or 20% chance. That's about it. So Monday, Tuesday of next week, a little bit better opportunity for places like Santo Domingo. For Puerto Rico, again, an isolated storm is possible. You should expect heat advisories every afternoon before it rains. And even if it does, it's still going to be pretty steamy outside. Same situation where by the end of the 5-day period, we're going to catch a better chance for showers across the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. It may not be exceptionally high, but at least it's going to be higher than what we've seen. So you can see Monday and into Tuesday, a little bit more moisture comes back into play. Now, this area will still be dealing with some Saharan dust. So you should anticipate there to be some haze in the sky here. And that haze could actually be even a little bit thicker farther south across the Leeward Islands. I mean, you get, let's say, about Martinique south towards Trinidad and Tobago, and there could really be some decent dust moving in as that next tropical wave also tries to move in. And we talked about how that could undercut some of the rain just because of that drier air moving through. For Anguilla, St. Bartholomew, Ceiba, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, it's about a 20% chance for showers, guys. There's no main feature coming in. The next big tropical wave is going to miss this area off to the south. It's really about getting this surface trough to try and elongate itself west to east. Right now, the models are picking up on rain a little bit farther west from you guys, but I'm still optimistic for a few showers each and every day. It's just not going to be very widespread. Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia are going to be in that. You get to Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and you guys are just on the northern edge of that next wave coming in. More than likely, you won't be directly impacted. Rain chances stay relatively low. I've upped it a little bit early next week. Then Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. I think the GFS model here is underdoing it a little bit, but you can see that there's at least more moisture coming in to this area with a better opportunity for some downpours in the afternoon hours. Once again, though, generally speaking, it heads into South America, these low latitude tropical waves. Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, my friends here, guys, I wish there was better news. But again, as I let this run over the next 5 days, if you catch a brief passing shower, consider yourselves relatively lucky. Otherwise, please be very cautious of the heat. So the big story, of course, as far as the rain and the active weather goes, it's all going to be out west. And my, oh my, have we flipped this pattern. For weeks and weeks and weeks, we talked about how dry places like Cancun and Belize and Roatan, all of Honduras and Guatemala were so dry, couldn't buy a drop of rain. Now we're talking about just staying inundated with potential heavy rainfall for the next week plus ahead for us here as we continue to spin in that Central American gyre. And the other interesting feature is, how does this potentially become tropical? We're going to get more into that coming up. But again, I just want to highlight the very wet pattern here for the Yucatan and all of Central America. We'll look at rainfall totals as well in just a second, but we are going to see some significant rain out of this area, out of this region, again, for the next 7 to 14 days. So the rain chance, as we go island by island, Northwest Bahamas, 60% chance. The remainder of this Friday going to lower the chances over the weekend, but still some spotty showers. Enjoy the outdoors, but boaters be cautious of those storms and lightning developing in the afternoon hours. It's a lower chance for the central and the southeast Bahamas, really down to an isolated chance over the weekend. Same thing for the Turks and the Caicos. Cuba, it's the western areas and the far northern coastline with the best chance for rain. Eastern areas will mainly be dry. Cayman Islands, it's a broad brush 50% chance. There's not one day that I expect there to be a better opportunity, but at least that opportunity is there. And again, Belize City, Cancun, and Cozumel, it's a 60% chance. It could be a little conservative. In some areas, that number may be more like 80%, but I'm sure you guys aren't going to complain about that. For Jamaica, 30% chance for the isolated showers for us here. But again, I do expect some rain to touch the island almost every afternoon. The Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands really dry out. Watch out for the heat. Bermuda will see some showers today. As that invest moves to your north, you're going to get a better chance for showers tomorrow, and then that rain fades as it moves east on Sunday. Anguilla and Ceiba, again, just about a 20% chance for showers. Same thing for Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat. Barbados, again, slightly higher rain chance just on the northern edge of that tropical wave Sunday. Same thing for St. Lucia. Trinidad and Tobago, this could be a little bit conservative. There could be a little bit more rain there. I'll keep an eye on that. Suriname's rain chances go up as well as that tropical wave approaches, and the ABC Islands remain, unfortunately, desperately dry for us here. Let's take a look at the overall wave heights and directions. Throughout the Caribbean, it's still going to be the easterly winds. Our trades are still in effect. Wave heights have come down a little bit, but there could still be a few areas near 7 or 8 foot waves. The open Atlantic is going to get a little bit more active just to the southeast of Bermuda. And then look at all of that wave energy kicking in from the eastern Pacific. And again, it's very clear to note the Central American gyre here because you can see the almost 360-degree turn in the winds and the waves between what's happening on the Caribbean side of Central America and the Pacific side as well. I mentioned the European model. So before we move on to the extended here, let me show you that, actually not the European model, excuse me, the NAM model for us here. And then I want to get into the extended. And the reason why, again, to show you the NAM model is because, look, no one model, unless I'm just absolutely thinking it's perfect. I never want to put all my weight onto one model. I can show you a couple of different things here at Meteo Mundo, especially this time of the year when we're talking about potential tropical development. So a couple of things I want to highlight from the NAM model compared to the GFS. Again, it keeps more moisture overall in the Northwest Caribbean. It's a solution that has verified more the last few days. The GFS has been too dry in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and I want our friends here to note that it is wetter, especially over the Cayman Islands, but look at that surge of moisture coming back in over Jamaica as well. Now, it's still raining cats and dogs throughout all of Central America, and it's very clear to see that spin. And then right at the end, we start to even see a little bit of a twist there in the southwest sides of the Gulf of Mexico. A little bit more rain just overall for the western half of the Caribbean. Might try and even bring a few showers towards the ABC Islands. This feature here, again, just north of Puerto Rico, is a little bit more prominent as well. We'll see if it can drift in more rain, but those are the things that I see out of the NAM model. Again, highlighting for Bermuda for us here, you'll see the showers almost in a line, almost a frontal system more than anything. Best chance for rain tomorrow, and then it does begin to dry out. So that's the differences there. We'll go back over the GFS because there's a few things I want to point out with this one as well. I'm going to extend this model out. We're going to go out a full week, and then we'll take a look at a couple of highlights, mainly discussing what's going to be happening here on the tropics. So now that I pulled out that view, let's loop this up over the next 7 days. So this is basically just an extension of the model that I've already shown you, but there's a few things I do want to highlight here. First thing we're going to get into is the potential development in the southwest Gulf of Mexico, okay? Now look, even on the GFS model here over the next 7 days, it remains relatively sloppy. You're going to see a couple of areas where like, okay, that's it. That might be the one coming in. Generally speaking though, the GFS is a little bit weaker in the southwest Gulf of Mexico compared to even the European model. I'm going to show you that, but you can see there is a twist. Now, both models drive whatever potential this could be fairly quickly into Mexico, okay? There is a 50% chance from the National Hurricane Center that this does develop over the next 7 days. That's why this area is highlighted in orange. And there's the possibility that we get Alberto out of this, at least very briefly, our first named storm. We'll have to see how this moves, but you can see, again, that twist right there. And then the other thing to point out with the GFS model is a very active Western Caribbean. Now, we could see a little bit of spin up here, the Southwest Caribbean, and it surges that moisture in the Northwest Caribbean as we get to the end of the forecast period. I will say this, it does something very interesting with this moisture as it gets into, as it gets into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. I don't really even want to discuss this yet. It's just one model run, but it does try and develop this into something as it gets into the eastern Gulf. I'll be monitoring that situation, and if there is consistency model run to run, we'll talk a lot more about that. But again, that would be up for portions of the southeast United States. So that's what it looks like reflectivity-wise. Let's take a look at the spin in the atmosphere. And again, if you guys are frequent viewers of the channel, which I hope you are, you know I like this product because this is almost like an analysis tool for me. Lets me know where there's areas of vorticity that I'm going to want to be monitoring here. And again, the GFS has a few to feature. The one in the southwest Gulf is prominent, but it also quickly dives into Mexico. You can see that. It never really gains latitude. It basically just develops in the Bay of Campeche and works its way west. I'm going to show you the European model, which just holds on to that area of low pressure a little bit longer, allowing it to potentially develop a little bit more relative right now to the GFS. And then here is that next area of vorticity back into the northwest sides of the Caribbean. Now look, if nothing else, it's going to surge more moisture into Jamaica, maybe Hispaniola, Cuba, and the Cayman Islands as well. That's a rainmaker, if nothing else, for those areas. It does stay a little bit drier off towards our east. The interesting little feature I noted with the reflectivity of the GFS, again, you can see that. You can see that just spinning up there. Old frontal boundary comes up. It basically gets stalled out. You can see it's elongated. Then it wraps up, actually tries to retrograde back west, and then kicks back up. Again, not going to be anything tropical, too high latitude this time of the year, but an interesting feature to point out nonetheless. And then back over here to the low-level winds. We'll take a look at those as well. So these are the 10-meter winds. Again, basically at the surface. Going to let this run over the next week as well. So again, fresh breezes, if nothing else, kicking up some high sea conditions here along the United States East Coast. There's that feature that I mentioned, but just notice all of the wind energy. There's just a ton of wind energy associated with what's happening with the Central American gyre. And again, huge plumes of tropical moisture, a lot of rain if nothing else, but the opportunity for a spin up or two. I think we're going to have to watch this in the Southwest Gulf, and then eventually here, days 7 to 10, Northwest Gulf, Northwest Caribbean, potentially into the Eastern Gulf of Mexico. Now look, the European model is actually a little bit more aggressive. I've looped the time period here, I believe over the next 10 days, but you can see that it tries to bring in a tropical depression in the southwest side of the Gulf of Mexico and has that same area of interest in the Southwest Caribbean as a GFS does right at the end of the time frame for us here. And it's even more aggressive. Let's see, did I put it in? Please tell me I did. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, sorry. I had a loop of the European model's area of low pressure here. It's just a little bit more prominent, okay? It keeps more of a closed low in this area down to, I think, 999 millibars, and that was gonna be, it's not the ensemble product, it's the overall product here. So again, apologize to not be able to show you that. Must have not included it, so bad me. But the bottom line is it's a little bit more aggressive as far as the development goes. We have time. We're talking about days, 6 and 7 if that was going to happen for us here. Okay, let's look at total precip for us here. So let me bring that on. And goodness gracious, I hope this is working. Now I'm going to have to reset a couple of things here, it looks like. It's not cooperating. Let's see. All right. Okay. Rain. Precip? Question mark? I hate when this thing decides to not cooperate. It might be going through a model change as we speak. We might be updating the model here. Give me just a couple of seconds here, guys. Let me see if I can get this total precip on for you here. See if I can single frame it if nothing else. Nope. All right, I can have the European model. So I know I can show you that. Let me try one more time. Nope. All right, onto the European model. I was going to show you the GFS model rain totals, but guess what? They're very similar to the European model. Now you're looking at the ones in millimeters now, so we'll take a look at that. A lot of red, a lot of brown, a lot of purple through portions of Central America. You're getting up to 250, 300 millimeters of rain in just the next 7 days on the Pacific coastline of some of Central America and even the southern sides of Mexico. Very, very heavy rainfall there. Notice the rain is getting more prominent in south and western sides of the Gulf of Mexico, and we're still a little bit drier in our eastern zones as well. Not as much rain for the Lesser Antilles. Again, maybe looking at 40 to 50 millimeters of rain for Puerto Rico and Hispaniola as an average, right? So close to around 2 inches of rain. Same thing for the northwest sides of the Bahamas as well. We're right on the edge of that heavier rain for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, but it really is the Southwest, Caribbean, all of Central America and into the Western Gulf that has those really exceptional rain totals. And we'll just have to watch out. Are we going to get too much rain in some areas over the next week or so? It's a possibility. It's going to be a lot of rain coming in, friends. You can find us across all of social media. I appreciate your support. Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. I'll make sure I have those models up and running. We'll got to figure that out, but we're good to go. Listen, friends, I really do appreciate you. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. Hope you have a great rest of your Friday. I'll see you soon with the latest forecast for you right here at Meteo Mundo.